This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we explore the movie Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And today we're exploring minute number 37. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Just a really long day today.
Yeah.
Driving Uber and I'm just ready to get into the minute because one thing that I can always look forward to at the end of my day is getting into the Goonies Minute, and it makes me feel better every time I get a chance to sit across from you and discuss this wonderful movie.
Well, how about that? That was good. That was very good. Really boosts my ego higher than it already is.
That's right.
That's right. Well, let's get into the minute.
Let's do it.
In the previous minute, we saw the Fratellis load a body bag into the back of the ORV and take off down the road. As the minute ended, Steph and Andy scared the other Goonies from behind. At minute 37, Steph tells Mouth that he looks better from behind. He responds by asking her if she wants to see something really scary. He holds a mirror up for her to see herself. As Mouth, Chunk, and Data walk away, we see Mikey staring longingly at Andy. He then follows the rest of the gang. As Bran and Andy continue to flirt, the four boys walk back over to the front door of the restaurant. Mouth finds that it has been locked. Chunk is ecstatic. Mouth suddenly concocts a plan on how to get the door open. He antagonizes Chunk to the point of Chunk charging for him, missing him, and knocking down the door. The rest of the boys thank him as they walk over him. Andy, Steph, and Brand walk over to the front porch of the restaurant. Brand tells them to stay put while he goes in to get the rest of the gang. Brand finds Data, Chunk, Mouth, and Mikey standing in the middle of the room debating something. Mikey tells them all that they have to find the lowest point of the floor. And thus ends minute 37 of the Goonies. All right, so for the first time in the entire movie, we have all of our Goonies assembled. We now have Mikey, Chunk, Mouth, Data, Brand, and now Andy and Steph. So everybody's here, and things really start to pick up, especially in the next minute. But today we're talking about 37.
Yeah, we had little funny interactions that occurred after Steph and Andy scare the crew. You have, it's kind of a little banter going on, and, I know you have talked about, and last minute we talked about Steph and Mouth, and we fast forward like to the end of the movie. We're talking about the interactions and everything that happened at the end of the movie, where Brand gets Andy.
That's right.
Different things going on. Yeah. And one of the interactions that we thought was odd was Mouth and Steph.
Yeah.
And it's like, where does this come from? But you could say that their little interaction here. What is she says, you look better from behind, and he pulls out the mirror.
Yeah.
And you could say this is maybe even a little bit of flirting.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of like playground love. Is that what they call it?
I mean,
everybody's kind of a bully to each other, but it's really just a sign of flirtation.
So it could be something like that, and I think it'll really take minute by minute.
Yeah.
We'll be able to learn a little bit more about their relationship. Hopefully, we'll be able to see that. But before we go any further with this, I wanted to mention this to you, and I can't believe I really haven't thought that much of it before, but I want to get your take on it.
Okay.
All right. It is assumed, at least in my book, that other than Brand, all the other Goonies are the same age.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you assume?
I assume so. Yeah.
Okay, let's assume that. Let's assume they're all in the same grade. Yep. Okay. I'm also assuming that Brand is the same age as Steph and Andy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We're trying to assume. Because they're friends or whatever. Okay. So later on, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Later on, it is deemed horrific that Mikey makes out with Andy.
Right.
However, the little flirtatious interaction between Steph and Mouth and the subsequent thing towards the end at the beach, you could say they might be getting together. Maybe it's just a friendly thing. But it is kind of interesting if you look at their ages and stuff to like, why is that okay? But you get where I'm coming from
no,
there?
absolutely. I do, yeah.
So I've never thought about that before to the extent, but when looking at it today.
Which Go ahead, finish.
And I was saying, looking at
Yeah.
it today, it was like,
Which almost
okay, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kinda-
maybe there are some different ages, or
Yeah.
they might have just didn't even think about it.
I probably didn't even think about it. It just makes it all the more a little bit forced, in my opinion, and a little bit unearned. Like they were just kind of like, look, these two characters we have to like set them up with something,
Right, because they didn't have anything else.
Yeah, we can't do this like family thing again and again. We've already done that with Chunk and his family, Data and his family. Now we've got Brand and his love, and then Mikey and One-Eyed Willie. So what do we do with these other characters?
They don't develop Steph that much.
They really don't. Yeah,
And then Mouth
unfortunately
is his own person, his own entertainment. He
Yeah.
doesn't need anybody, so they develop but it's in a not a selfish way, but he's really to himself.
Uh-huh.
Other than the beginning when they show his dad, other than that,
Yeah.
he's really his own character, and he doesn't have a sidekick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And he does-
and Steph is never even developed enough to where we can know about a sidekick other than Andy, but they're opposites, they're friends.
Yeah.
You know,
So this is one of those cases where if we had just a little bit more, a little something else to kind of develop that, it's similar to yesterday when we said, whenever we noticed that Mikey was giving everybody the spiel outside about home, what home? You know, we don't have anywhere back to, to go back to.
Right.
We really could have used a simple, quick little close-up of Brand giving some sort of acknowledgement that he understands where Mikey is coming from and thus is going to help. He's going to get on board with this whole thing because he understands how important this is and possibly could work. So this is another one of those things, like cases where if we had just a little something to make that work and to make that a little bit more believable.
To gain our attention.
Yeah,
You know,
it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. Just a little something and it would
like
have worked.
I think I can even remember back to the porch incident.
Right.
The porch, or where Mikey and Brand are having that emotional moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then they switched over to Troy's dad and the guy just for a second again.
Yeah.
To bring home the point of what's going on.
Yep.
And that's what could have been maybe done here.
It's
Maybe
a perfect,
maybe not. I don't know.
Perfect example of what I'm talking about.
So, yeah. Andy, when she really doesn't act like what happened with her and Steph in the car with Troy and Troy holding Brand's hand down, she doesn't act like that's a big deal. And she's like kind of laughing, saying sorry about your face. And he's like, haha, whatever. Like, I was born with it. And then she's making it about her being a jerk, and Troy's a jerk, trying to look down her shirt, and she smacked him. It's like, if I was Troy, it's like, well, how about he tried to kill me? Like, that's a big deal. You think he might have mentioned that,
right?
But then again, I can think of situations in the past where I have been really interested in a girl, and maybe her or one of her friends have done something really terrible, and I just completely ignore her because I'm starstruck or love struck.
I got you.
So. Okay,
so there's a little something interesting that happens here. Later, Andy, speaking of young love, in the cave, whenever it's really dark, they can't really see who is who. Andy and Mikey end up kissing in the cave. So, and then there's also a little something mentioned there at the end to kind of imply that Mikey might have had a little crush on Andy. Well, I tell you what, I've always been kind of back and forth on it because it's one of those things that the movie doesn't clearly specify, nor does it really need to, but it kind of is very subtly here in this moment when there's like a wide shot of all the gang talking at once like they always do in this movie, and you see Mikey just dumbfounded, staring at Andy.
Okay, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? And
no, but I'm going to look for it.
Staring at her, and the rest of them are like arguing or bickering or doing whatever it is, and he is just love-struck, staring at Andy, and he even pulls out his inhaler and has to use his inhaler. And we only ever see him do that when he's like, stressed out or whatever. And that is all I have for this minute. What about you?
That's it for me.
Great. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us with minute number 37. Tune back in tomorrow for Goonies minute number 38. And until then, this is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.